Hi, sixth grade. So, for reading this week, we're going to be continuing to read Hatchet. You're working on the active reader on page 13. Um, this goes through chapter 5. Brian uses his skills of observation to take the stock of his surroundings, record what Brian finds. As he checks out his possessions, predict how he might use each possession to help him survive. And it gives you an example there. Like he finds a 62 cents in coins and he says, well, this is useless in the wilderness. So can he use it? Will he not be able to use these things? So please list them and then give their use as to how he will survive. As you finish up chapter 5, you're going to be looking at the responding questions on 14 and 15. So start with the personal response. How did you react to Brian's thoughts and actions? Do you think that he is sensible or unreasonable? Explain your answer. So this one has 3 parts. So make sure you have 3 sentences here. Number 1, why is Brian visiting his father in Canada? And then how does Brian feel about his mother? Okay, so a lot has happened throughout the story here so far. We learn a little bit about the relationship between his mother and Brian, and how he's feeling about her and what's going on and why he has to go to Canada. So that's 2 parts there, 2 sentences. What is Brian's plan for landing the plane? What conclusions can you draw about Brian from the actions he takes before the crash? Once again, there are 2 parts there, so 2 sentences. What lesson does Brian recall from Mr. Perpich, his English teacher, and how does the lesson help Brian as he sits beside the lake? Okay, so 2 parts there. Once again, go back into your book if you need help on any of these. Remember to find the evidence and give specific answers as you're going through. Number 4, sometimes Brian's thoughts go back to an earlier time when he was with his mother. What effects do these breaks have on the story? Okay, so this is one part. Kind of think back to those times in the story and how that affects him. And then lastly, are Brian's reactions to the pilot's death and the crash realistic? Does Brian seem like a real 13-year-old? Explain your answer. Okay, so 3 parts there for the last question. So as we continue this week, you'll turn those questions in on Teams, and then you'll continue reading chapters 6 through 8, working on the active reader. So the before you read is on page 16. Let's take a look at that. Remember to do the focus activities because those really help with the questions at the end. So go through and kind of just do that focus activity. The background information, the North American black bear. The black bear is the most common bear in North America. Some scholars say that there may be around 750,000 black bears living in the forest of Canada, the United States, and northern Mexico. Black bears can grow up to 5 feet tall and usually weigh between 135 and 350 pounds. Most adult bears have a smooth, short-haired black coat, although some may have a chocolate brown or silver gray coat. They are excellent tree climbers and can run very fast, up to 25 miles an hour. A black bear's sense of smell is far sharper than either its sight or its hearing. Black bears will eat almost anything, including meat and plants. Mostly they eat grass, berries, mushrooms, and acorns. The garbage dumps and coolers of campers can provide treats as well. Did you know? There are 2 main ways to produce a fire: by friction and by percussion. The friction method involves creating enough heat from friction to ignite or light the surrounding burnable material or kindling. One common method of starting a fire with friction is called the fire drill method. The fire builder creates a small pit or groove in a large stick or log, which is laid on the ground. Kindling is placed right around the pit. Then the fire builder places the tip of a smaller stick in the pit and rotates the stick rapidly by rolling it between his or her palms. The percussion method involves striking 2 objects together to create a spark. Striking flint against flint or steel against flint can create sparks to light kindling. So some of that background information will help us, obviously, as we continue to read forward here. And then we have a few vocabulary words. Dormant means asleep or inactive. Eddy, to move in a current contrary to the main current. Flue, a passage for allowing flame and smoke to escape. Gratify, to please, to satisfy. Ruefully, with regret. And staff, a stick carried for support while walking. We're also going to be working on the active reader over the next few chapters here. So as he sets up camp and settles in, Brian uses his hatchet for a variety of purposes and in several different ways. In the left-hand column, write down each way in which Brian uses his hatchet, and the right-hand column, write down what he gained by using it. Okay, so how does he use it and what does he gain? And they give you an example there: for protection and then peace of mind. So as you're continuing this week to read chapters 6, 7, and 8, please work on that active reader. Remember to use your reading strategies. So think about trying to make connections, predict along the way, visualize what you're reading, ask questions if you're not sure about something, clarify, kind of going back and rereading if you don't understand something, trying to connect with Brian. And then also, lastly, remember that this is an adventure story, and keep in mind those elements of adventure as you're reading. So think about how those elements are playing a part in this story as we continue forward. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope you have a great week.